several of the largest prides in the UK, so here we have a statement from Birmingham, Brighton, London and Manchester, which are like the four biggest ones, have banned all political parties from attending Pride, which is actually quite a big deal, because even in like the 80s and 90s and stuff, when we had the Margaret Thatcher government and Section 28 and all kinds of other horrible attacks on particularly gay people, they didn't feel the need to ban political parties from Pride. This is like quite a big step, and we'll read the statement, but as they do point out, they're all kind of united on this. This isn't just like one of the prides run by some wacky activists who's like, we don't like that. This is like an LGBT community in unison saying we are having to do this because of the state of this country. So let's read this statement first. So they say, standing together a united front for trans rights. As the organisers of the UK's largest Pride events in Birmingham, Brighton, London and Manchester, we come together today in unequivocal solidarity with the trans community. We are united not only in message but in purpose. At a time when trans rights in the UK are under growing attack, our resolve has never been stronger. We will not allow progress to be undone. We will not stand by as the dignity, safety and humanity of our trans siblings are debated, delayed or denied. Mate, this is some good writing. This is a real statement. I'm feeling quite hyped from this one. What is happening here in the UK is not isolated. It's part of a disturbing global trend. We'll get more into that later. From banning of Pride events in Hungary to anti-trans legislation in the USA, where LGBT rights are being systematically rolled back. The UK must not follow this path of regression. Instead, it must rise as a global leader in human rights and equality. To move forwards, we need more than promises. We need every political party to stand unequivocally with every member of the LGBT community and centre the voices of trans people in policy, practice and public life. Collectively, we call for full and enforceable protections under the Equality Act. Yes, great, that's very good. Timely and dignified access to NHS, gender-affirming healthcare. Yes, you know my thoughts on the word gender-affirming, but yes, we need good trans healthcare. Reformed accessible gender recognition certificate process, yes. Sustainable funding for trans-led services and support organisations across the UK. This is the minimum. Anything less is not allyship. It is abandonment. To those in power, when you demonstrate true solidarity and tangible commitment to trans rights, we will stand with you. Until then, we will continue to speak truth to power and fight for a future where every trans person can live safely, freely and proudly. As Pride events across the UK face mounting challenges, our resolve only grows stronger. We will not be silenced. We will not be divided. Together we will build a national movement rooted in justice, unity, and unapologetic pride. Amazing statement from those four prides. So this has triggered quite a lot of discussion. There are a lot of people I've seen who are like, fuck yeah, fuck all the politicians, get fucked, this is our time, like the whole system's broken, burn it all down, whatever. And I understand those people for sure, because it's not looking good at the moment. There are quite a few people who have pointed out that, for example, the Green Party and the Liberal Democrats aren't as bad as Labour, Reform and the Tories. And there are other political parties too than just like the big ones. So why the hell are they banned? And I know that, of course, you can always find an example of a politician from some party saying some dumb thing about trans people, but generally the Green Party and the Liberal Democrats have some kind of non-anti-trans position. But as I've heard, due to our stupid equality laws, ironically, if they were to just ban one political party or just a few, it could be a legal nightmare. And we do not want prides opening themselves up to allowing bigoted people to waste their time and money, because they would love to do that. Like through going through court systems and shutting things down and making everything harder. So I think that the only options were ban none of them or ban all of them. And like the only realistic options for these big like prides, which, you know, have millions of dollars change hands or millions of pounds change hands in these organizations and stuff. So for these big ones, they didn't really have the option of just trying it. So they basically have caught up the others as collateral damage. And when I heard about this, I thought, that's fine. Like, I don't really care. And if I was a politician if I was like a good politician who was pro-trans rights, and I was for like the Green Party or the Liberal Democrats, I'd be like, okay, well, this isn't targeted at us. This isn't targeted at me. It's a legal thing. This is, you know, what can we do? And what we can do is an issue and a statement saying we support Pride to make the decisions they want to do, and we support trans rights. You should vote for us. You know, that's the kind of thing that they could do. I also thought if I was a Labour politician, I'd be like, well, this is a bit of a wake-up call, because we're meant to be one of the pro-LGBT rights parties, and they're like specifically doing this for us. So, yeah, we need to work harder. But when I went to talk to some Labour politicians, they were like united in saying that this was bad. And it was one of the things that I found quite frustrating was, you know, someone asked this question, how do you respond to getting banned from Pride? And then multiple Labour people in a row said, I think this is bad, you shouldn't have done this, you need to engage in the process, banning us just makes things worse. And I do think there's room for this discussion. So one of the things that was pointed out is some of the prides, like Glasgow Pride, has banned political parties, but also Glasgow Pride has banned politicians from attending the event. And this looks similar, looks like the same thing, but I do think it's different. And I think this is a worse version of it. I'm not going to tell Glasgow how to run their Pride. I'm not Scottish. I'm not organising a Pride. Like, I'm not coming for them. And I'm sure that there are other prides who have taken this route rather than the one that like Manchester has done. But I think that from my position, from listening to the various arguments, I think that banning political parties, like you cannot turn up and say, the Labour Party supports Pride, you know, we're a pro-LGBT party. I think that, like, you're probably risking people throwing milkshakes at you. I don't encourage that. But that just seems so disingenuous, given the state of what Keir Starmer and the front benchers are doing. It would just seem ridiculous. And it would seem like they were trying to whitewash their reputation, you know, show up for some photos of them waving their pride flags and then go back to their office and say trans women are men and should be banned from the public spaces. But I think that banning individual politicians is kind of bad, because there are some politicians who are themselves LGBT who you might disagree with them. You might think all the political parties are fucked, or Labour in particular, or the Tories or whatever are fucked. And the fact that you're still trying to work with them is delusional and nothing can be done. And, you know, working from within side is just legitimizing. You might think that, and that's fair. We can have that discussion and that argument. But they themselves obviously have some kind of faith that you don't have, that they can make a difference in the party, and that you both have different information and they're making that decision. This might sound like some kind of bullshit politician answer from myself, but where I'm leaning is, if you are a politician from a political party, like 5 years ago, you would have gone with your party. Like, if you're the councillor of the area or the mayor or something, you would have turned up with your, like, you know, Labour Party red T-shirt on, waving the Labour Party flag, marching with a little Labour Party section, and saying, I'm here because I care, but also so does our party. Now, if you go on your own personal capacity, wearing like plain clothes, not pushing the party, people will still see you there, and they'll be like, you have, even though you're like your party is banned, you're still saying, I want to be here on my own personal thing. This is something I care about, and this is something I'm fighting with in my party. I think that's good. Like, that would be good to see. And also, these people, they're not all doing it in order. Like Keir Starmer, if he comes to a Pride, he's just doing it for the photo op because he is a soulless robot who doesn't have opinions. But if someone like the politicians that I talked to earlier this week, who I believe genuinely do care about LGBT rights and are themselves LGBT, like, I think if they go to Pride, it's because they've been going to Pride since before they've been politicians, and they've had to fight for their human rights too. So, I don't know. I do think that Pride should ban or should actively reject people who represent removing our human rights. Like, the gender criticals shouldn't be there. Like, Nazis shouldn't be there. Like, transphobic gay people and homophobic trans people shouldn't be there, because literally the whole point in Pride is it's a protest, represent fighting for our freedom and our human rights. But I think that when, like, if you were like part of the Nazi party or something, and you're like, but I'm gay, like your whole party represents purely the like destruction of LGBT rights, you're an idiot, fuck off. But I just don't think that's quite the. I know you might feel like that's the same with the Labour Party. It would be insane to make that comparison, but it's a bit of an extreme comparison. I don't know. But I do think there are different positions, banning politicians and banning political parties. And if you are in charge of a Pride or you help organise one in your town, you should consider and make sure that you decide which of those two positions you're actually picking and think about how important it is. But I also did see this response from Patrick Harvey, who's a Scottish politician who has now, like, personally been banned from Pride. And I thought he gave quite a good statement, so we should like have a listen and see what he says, because I think this is a response I was expecting from LGBT politicians, and it isn't quite the response that all of them gave, but I think this is kind of the position I'm at the moment.
I woke up today to the announcement that Glasgow Pride, like other Pride organisers down south, have suspended the participation of political parties. I'm both a politician and someone who's been out since before I was first elected, and I've never shied away from standing up to prejudice. I have to say now that I feel ashamed of how politics in this country is letting down my own community. Of course I'm disappointed at the decision, but the betrayal of our human rights by most political parties is the cause of this horrendous situation, and I fully respect the right of organisers to make this choice. The Scottish Greens have stood solid against the current wave of prejudice, and we will continue to do so. But it is now abundantly clear that our community has lost trust in political parties more broadly. I urge those in leadership positions across the political spectrum and members of all political parties who do support LGBTQ+ people's human rights to put their house in order. Even at the lowest point of the political weaponisation of homophobia that I remember from the 80s and 90s, Pride events never felt the need to take this step. But even in those worst of times, the government wasn't actually imposing segregation of public spaces, as is happening now to trans people. The culture war against our community needs to end.
So I thought that was a good statement. Like, he obviously cares about this. I'm not like endorsing the Scottish Greens. I'm not Scottish, so Scottish people should vote for who they want to. But that was kind of what I was expecting from like left-wing LGBT politicians. It was interesting to hear some say otherwise. though I guess if they felt like they'd been banned personally rather than just their party banned personally, and they like the message was different in the Pride that like is in their local area, I don't know. But what my current position is, I think that politicians should go on a individual capacity if that's what they believe in, and if they don't believe in, they should fucking fix themselves. But they shouldn't go and try and represent their party if their party is garbage, and they should respect the decision of the Pride organisers. And like that guy who we just watched, God, I've forgotten his name already, Patrick Harvey, just said, like, you need to fix your house. If you've just been banned from Pride, maybe it's time to start asking some questions. Yeah. So, just to cover the like opposing argument, this is from Pride in Labour, who are not affiliated with Labour, or they're not directly affiliated with them, and they've written a statement. Basically, what is this? This box is nonsense. Go away. Right. So they seem quite opposed to this. Labour is aware that Pride in Labour, is aware that 4 major Pride organisations have made the decision to ban politicians or political parties from participating in their events this year, with others likely to follow. First and foremost, we understand and respect the reasoning behind this decision. So that is a good starting point. The anger with mainstream politics, particularly regarding the treatment of LGBT community and trans people in particular, another good thing to highlight, is justified. However, we are also disappointed Pride in Labour exists to challenge the Labour Party where it falls short in protecting LGBT rights. While we are not formally affiliated with the party, we carry its name, and that can be both a strength and a burden. We often face pushback from trans activists and allies who associate us with the National Party's failings. We hear that. We don't dismiss it, but we also believe that now more than ever, solidarity is crucial. The rise in transphobia and erosion of LGBT rights demand broad, coordinated resistance. Excluding political groups that fight from within, groups like ours risks isolating allies who are challenging the government from inside the system. And it is important to recognise the difference between the National Party and local activists who are pushing for change every day through motions at conferences, letters to ministers, and by holding elected officials to account. These local groups are the backbone of the Labour Party and the Labour movement, and their work deserves recognition, not rejection. I hear what they're saying, and that isn't something that I really first focused in on when I saw this debate going on. But I don't think they're wrong. They are right that we need to solidarity is more important. I saw loads of people dunking on this group on Blue Sky. I just think if it makes you angry reading this, okay, but as these people point out, they're not the Labour Party. They are just a bunch of people who might have too much. You might be annoyed that they have faith in the Labour Party where you don't. I don't know how much faith I have in any of the parties really, but if it makes you angry reading this, use that anger to write to your MP. Use that anger to write to the EHRC or Keir Starmer. Use that anger to organise or even just telling some transphobes to fuck off would be a better use of your anger than dunking on these people who are, at best, misguided, right? These people do care about trans rights. Their statement was good. It didn't seem like some bullshit whitewashing. The Labour Party's all great. They just are going about it in a different way, and I think it's so this is a curse of the left. But we do like fighting each other, and it's because the people who you think will listen to you are the ones you want to spend time talking to. These guys are going to listen to you way more than the gender criticals or the Conservative Party or whoever is ever going to listen to you. So you feel like it's worth talking to them. But the thing is, you just arguing with each other. It's good to change people's minds, right? If you think that someone's wasting their energy, that's good. If you can win them over. But all you can do is explain your argument once and just use your energy on something else. what at the moment is making the most difference is writing letters to MPs. That is making a real difference that we can see in action now. And telling some little website with a blue sky account that they're fucking idiots and they should, like, they're traitors or whatever. Waste of time. Stop doing it. You're wasting your time. So someone here saying, Vela's saying, why would they complain if they're not banned? They're just trying to pinkwash the Labour Party. Maybe, but I feel like maybe they want to turn up and support the Labour Party. Like they say, they're local Labour activists. They believe in the party to some degree, and they also believe they can change its course. So they want to turn up with banners saying Labour Party, and they can't. But also maybe they're concerned for politicians who they believe are on our side. Like there might be, I think people often worry about this kind of like hypothetical straight cis person who's like win-overable, but you're worried about being too rude to them that they might give up. And like I was saying that I felt a little bit like that when I was in Parliament. I didn't want to be like too rude. But at the same time, like you can't tread on eggshells all the time, and you can't imagine these hypothetical people who will give up. Most people are like perfectly capable of seeing that if you support a cause and then someone comes at you, you're not going to flip to being some reactionary right-wing shithead. Like it takes a certain type of person to do that. Like if I am fighting for something that doesn't directly affect me, so I'm like talking about disability rights or rights for people of color or something, and one of them came at me and said the words you've used in are wrong, or like people like you are a problem, or shut up you fucking idiot, or whatever, or something like that, I wouldn't be like, oh well, fuck disabled people then. I'd be like, okay, like the best case here is I've said something dumb and I need to go and learn about it and apologize to this person, and the worst case is this person's a bit of an idiot and they're just being hostile. But either way, like my core position isn't going to change. And I think that should be true for most people who are capable of supporting LGBT rights. So I don't know. It is important to build solidarity and not be constantly hostile to your potential allies. It's also important not to walk on eggshells. It's a balance, but those are both quite extremes. There's a lot of middle ground there. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next thing. Someone's saying being nice doesn't work. It's time to kick off. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kick off means. It's definitely time to crack out the sternly worded letters and show up to your MP's office and say, oh, what the hell, can you please do something about this? And it's the time to go to Pride and other protests, for sure, other non-violent protests. Yeah, just smiling politely and hoping they see your humanity, not going to work. Writing a strongly worded letter sounds dumb, but it actually is making a difference.